vicinity of Perry. Magnificent! What a goal! That is nearly the goal of the season.
We've recruited help.
We have recruited some help.
Marnie, we're 0-11 and we need help. The Further North podcast needs help, and it doesn't get much bigger than North Melbourne closer to a flag. I'm sure they're very excited to come back on and talk about our fantastic season. Are you guys excited to come on and talk about this season?
Absolutely. Well, just like the club, you brought on two mid-sized blokes to try and save the season.
A couple of mid-sized half forwards. We thought we needed a few more, so we've brought them on.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah. What position would you be, Marnie, if you played?
Bench warmer.
Bench warmer?
Yeah, I think so, definitely.
I reckon I could back up Nick Larkey. I reckon Bryn Teakle better watch his back, because if I get a 10-day contract down there or something, I reckon I could do something. We're going to get into the most important topic before we get into the biggest mid-season review of the entire year, because there's only one. The Charlie Comben song. Now, did you guys listen to that? I'm sure you did, because I showed you before. Give me your thoughts. Charlie Comben song. What's your favourite line? Which lyric cuts the deepest?
The part where they say Charlie Comben mainly. But I would probably, to be honest, it's going to be one of those things where when Triple J Hottest 100 comes around, it's definitely number one.
Yeah, I think that's a campaign we need to start, and that's why we've recruited you guys here today. We need a bigger audience to get recruiting for Triple J Hottest 100. I think we can do it.
I reckon we can. Yep, we're on here.
Spilt milk. Who's going to perform it though?
Oh,
Nick Larkey. He's got a voice, and
he's got.
What's the other guy?
Mike Brady.
What's
Mike Brady? 100%.
Mike Brady.
I'll call him now. Forget Up There Kazali. This year's grand final, we've got the Charlie Comben song as the headline entertainment.
Well, it's too late to get Meatloaf back, so I guess we have no choice. Finbar and Nick Larkey can team up as a band, as the North Melbourne band.
Yes.
I think that would be all right.
Yes.
Well, I mean, like we were saying before the pod, this could be our version of You'll Never Walk Alone in Front of the Cop. Instead, it's Bay 29 with the Charlie Comben song.
All I see is dollar signs right now. I think we can monetize it. We can get everyone in there. Chom scarves. I think that's the next line of merch to come out.
Yeah, I'm keen.
And I'll be there. Liam, let's go to you. What did you think of the Charlie Comben song?
Oh, I can say safely, Josh, it's going to be my Spotify Wrapped number one already. It has been in my head rent-free for the last week. So, yeah, love it. Biggest fan.
Yeah, it sucks that a computer can make a song that good. It really takes away from my future and aspiring any sort of art that I want to do. But hey, this is all we've got to look forward to these days. So
it literally is. But yeah, what a song.
So we've got a response from Charlie Comben. I think this is so Marnie has sent the song over to Charlie, and we've got a response. So we're going to play that right now for everybody, and then we'll talk about his response after. Yeah, look, Marnie's got connections, guys, and this is why she's here. So let's listen.
Guys. I'm just trying to do things for the greater good of the pod.
No, I know.
And for the fans.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
They are welcome, because they've got the song, and now they're going to hear Charlie speak. So Charlie has responded. We're going to play that, and we can just talk about it as it goes and whatnot. So here it is.
Hey, Josh. Hey, Marnie. Long-time listener, first-time caller in of this great podcast. It's actually good to be back on it after a long hiatus of our ripping live show that I heard absolutely killed it in the podcast rating.
Correct, it did. It did.
But yeah, Marnie sent across to me the Charlie Comben song this week, and I'm a little bit ashamed to say that I have had the chorus playing over and over in my head now for probably the last 2 to 3 hours. So I feel like a little bit of an idiot singing a song about myself in my own head, but very, very impressed by that. And I'm just stoked to be able to play consistent footy for the first time in so long, let alone to have a song made about me. So a little bit of a surreal moment for me. A few things that I want to tick off in my football journey. One being a premiership.
Not far away.
And the other one was to have a song made. So I can tick that one off and onwards and upwards with some premiership ambitions. But coming into the bye this week, I think it'll be a good time for a mental and physical refresh for a lot of our list to really attack the second half of the season and hope to improve some more
AFL 360
with our performances.
Do I look like Robert?
Again, thanks again for having me on the podcast. Really impressed by the song. And thanks for all the work you're doing in promoting our great club too. through the use of the podcast. So keep up the good work. Thanks, guys.
What a legend.
He is a legend.
Great man.
What a legend. We did get a little bit of press conference Chom there, but other than that, no. It's we always like interacting with Chom. He's the best bloke ever, and no more deserving of a player to have a song after them.
I'm hoping that this is the first of like a Further North album and see like how many songs we can get
Just
made
be dropping
about players.
EPs all over the place.
Yeah, one a week for the rest of the season, and then we can release the deluxe version.
Wow.
Jack Marnie tune dropping next week.
What genre is the Jack Marnie tune? We had the Bro Country Charlie Comben song. What genre is the Jack Marnie?
Oh God, that is a great question.
Surely it's got to be like Dirty House or something.
Like a Fisher track to
Yeah,
Jack
something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
We really get the...
George Waldler will probably be Baroque era opera.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Who's the next player to get a song? If you could pick any player to make an AI song about on the current list, who is it?
Probably Eddie Ford. He seems like the kind of person
An
who would.
Elvis style Eddie Ford
Like
song?
genuinely like, rock and roll, like Beatles style.
50s rock and
Yeah, that
roll.
would actually be really
100%.
good.
Yeah. But I can't imagine George Wardlaw Opus in D sharp or something like that.
I'm going to get in the lab and I'm going to see if I can cook up an Eddie Ford song, I reckon.
Yeah, done.
All right, let's get into why we're here. The mid-season review. Now, look, where we
So I literally said to you guys before we jumped on air that this is like the most sad I've been the entire footy season
Yeah.
because I haven't watched us play.
and we all strongly
And you-
disagreed and said it was
you're
the
all
best
like,
weekend.
That's the
of
best
the
week ever.
season.
Had a bit of a reprieve. No, I think it's really important to have the bye and have it sort of in the midway point of the season because I think it makes you realise, how much you
Yeah.
maybe miss the club and maybe
and why
like,
mental health is important.
Yeah. It made me realise why sometimes taking a step back and taking a break is important.
There's more to life than football.
No, not my life.
Not
You can speak
Marnie's
for
life.
yourself.
I think we can all agree that Marnie's on a little bit of a different spectrum. And Marnie is a bigger fan than I think all three of us would be combined.
Yeah.
And we're big fans.
Yeah.
Marnie's another stratosphere of fan. And they're the
I'll
fans
wear
we
that-
need.
I'll wear that with pride. It's all
Yeah,
good.
no, it's
guys.
a
all good.
compliment. I'm just saying, I don't think we're ever going to get there. Am I unhappy about that? TBA on that. We'll let you know.
At least you have a life to enjoy.
That is true. That is true.
I can't say the same for myself.
Well, before we go into a deep dive on Marnie's mental health, let's do the mid-season review first so we can end with that, Marnie.
Yeah, good plan.
We're going to go through all the obvious questions, but we're going to dive deep into this. Obviously, we're sharing a mic, so maybe just one question each or cohesively pass it back and forward. We don't have the budget down at Further North yet, guys, to get 4 microphones. We've wrangled 3, so we'll see how we go. First question, how are we all feeling? Let's go around the circle because it's a safe space. Do we need a talking stick? That would be cool.
I think we're all adults here. We can sort of figure ourselves out.
That is not a sentence that's accurate to a lot of our lives. How are we all feeling about the season? We'll go one by one and let's go like a minute max on how we're feeling about the season. Marnie, please kick us off.
Yeah, not great.
Yep.
But worse that we haven't played this week.
No.
So that's where I'm at the moment. It's obviously been a really disappointing start to the year. I don't think that, we can kind of shy away from that. Obviously, we had a pretty good start to the season with Giants and Fremantle games.
Just effort, yeah.
Yeah, obviously the results haven't gone our way, but it was a really positive start to the season, and then the wheel sort of started to turn, and we had a few weeks of really rubbish performances, and then we hit the St Kilda game, and we've sort of been on some
We've
sort
drawn
of
it back a little
trajectory
bit, yeah.
up. I mean, if games were what they were minus 15 to 20 minutes each, then we might have actually won a couple of them.
I think once again, petition to cut the AFL games in half. I think would actually
that would
be
be
a pretty
that would be
decent.
nice. So I'm hoping that we can kind of we can translate that promise from the first half of the season that we've seen into a few wins in the second half, which I'm confident that
Okay.
I think that we will be able to do that.
Okay. All right, Rashawn.
Yeah, look, it's been rough viewing. There were a few games. I think probably the lows have been even lower, especially for me, like the Hawks game, for example.
Yeah.
It was a game where I expected, at least a pretty thrilling game, and it just fell so flat in space. Like I was saying before the pod, I was in Bristol. I woke up at 7 o'clock in the morning to see us 40 points down, and I'm like, I'm going back to fucking bed.
yeah, cool.
I wish I could have gone to bed.
Yeah.
I basically did. I think I stared at the roof for half the game. Yeah. And I just zoned out and went to another planet.
You've never seen Josh and I so quiet than
No.
the two of us at that Hawthorn game.
Have you ever tried Clash of Clans?
This podcast is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. It's interesting in that Hawthorn game. We'll talk about the Hawthorn game a bit later. But me and Marnie have very different ways of coping in these. And Marnie's is fiercely get behind the team and just go full delusional. We might do something. And I'm like, everything's done. I hate my life. And this team's a joke. And it was it was tense for a little bit there.
Yeah.
Marnie was trying to calm me down, and then she full stopped because she was like, I'm a runaway train of depression and I can't stop that.
Yeah,
So
we almost broke up at that game. So that was, no
it was
good.
tough. It was tough. But here we are. We've done the counselling and
We've made it through.
yeah,
Yeah,
just.
proud of us.
Oh my God. Are you getting emotional? Because I am. Anyway, sorry. Back to your season.
I think the biggest concern for me, just in terms of review, is defence consists of Aiden Core and a packet of crisps.
Keyword Aiden
okay, hang
Core
on.
there.
We just had a song about Charlie Comben. I think that's disrespectful. Has Aiden Core got a song written about him? No. Marnie's probably
Don't speak too soon.
Marnie's probably got a couple in her head.
But as we all know, a strong defence relies on a strong core. So
Okay, pass the mic. I'm done.
I'll see myself out.
Yeah, door's there, mate.
How do I follow that?
Yeah, good luck.
Look, it's been a long season. I can't believe it's only 11
The
rounds
longest
in.
11 games ever.
It feels like forever. I guess all I keep thinking out after each week is this is the low point and everything from here is upwards, which will happen one day. One day we will reach the low point. We don't know what it is yet. It could have already happened.
Yeah.
So that's what's keeping me afloat at the moment is the hope, which is dangerous, I guess.
It was funny last year that so many people would tell me, at least it can't get worse, mate. And I always sarcastically followed up with, well, we could win no games. And then it's actually coming true.
You actually would think that.
Yeah. But it is true. Like it's just, that's tangible. We could win no games. So
Hey, but Melbourne did lose by 92 points and we haven't lost by that much yet. So
that is true.
there's always that.
Yeah, I think West Coast, Richmond and Melbourne have all copped bigger losses than we have the whole year. So, and we haven't had a goalless quarter, which I think is one of the only stats going around the AFL world that we can hold our heads up high. Even like
It's the only one that matters, to be honest.
one goal in a quarter also doesn't make me too happy, but it's a goal nonetheless.
It's better than none.
It's better than none.
Yeah.
But not when in the next quarter the other team kicks 10 goals and we kick 2.
We'll take what we can get at this point, I think.
Small wins.
It's just small wins. Well, yeah, I mean, I kind of mirror everybody's, I guess. It's disappointing. I didn't think we'd be this bad. But I think the issues are glaringly obvious with experience and players in their primes now not being good enough. And hopefully the trade period and free agency and all that stuff in the off-season can fix that. I don't really have much hope the rest of the year. I think we can get a couple of wins.
We will get a couple of wins.
Yep.
Undefeated. I'm calling it now for the rest of the
13
season.
and 0, you
Yep,
reckon?
yep.
Late finals run? Well, you told me you've booked Europe in the last round, so you might miss the
Start
finals run.
rescheduling.
To get back
Liam.
for finals, though.
The granny's the only one that matters to you.
Yeah,
isn't
that's
it?
right.
So, yeah. I think we can. We'll get a win somewhere, I think, and we'll plug some gaps. But I don't know. The big Bryn Teakle train might come in and win the Coleman. You don't know. So I guess that's what I'm going to be.
Anything can happen.
Yeah, it sure can. Anyway, what has made us underperform like this? We'll go around the circle again and we'll try and mix it up a little bit. So my biggest thing to flag with this team is maybe the lack of leadership and players in their primes. And you can look at the players we're loosely linked with. I'm not holding out hope, but like a Parker and a Wines and getting players like that in, which we really lack. What other issues do we all think? Whoever wants to go first. Marnie, do you want to go?
Yep, I'll go. I think for me, and I've spoken about this a couple of times, and I think the way the first half of the season's progressed maybe backs it up a little bit, is you look at the side that we fielded in round 1 and how many of those players had never played for North or had never played before, or like very few of those players had ever really played together. And so I think the the more continuity we can get in the core of our group, the better we will be. And I think in the last sort of 2 to 3 rounds before the bye, that was, say, probably from the St Kilda game, let's just go from there. I think that was probably, for me, it started to become obvious. It kind of looked like the side kind of looks like the most balanced it's really looked.
It's true.
It seems like, quite a few of these players have now all got a bit of continuity in their game and they've all started to play together. So I think that, for me, has been probably the biggest reason, one of the big reasons as to why we probably started out a little bit shaky and now we're sort of starting to play more as a team rather than individuals. So I think that for me has probably been if I could talk to one point, that would be what I would talk to.
Okay. Give us some knowledge.
Yeah, you've absolutely just stolen mine, both of yours actually, because I was going to say it's the lack of leadership, because you every game, I guess, we'll have 20 minutes where we just forget how to football, is what I would call it.
That's good. And that seems to be getting less and less, though, right?
Yeah, it does, which I think is
slowly, but
is to the point
it's
that
less
Marnie
than
made. It's with the experience we're getting, so we're sort of seeing the signs maybe now and going, oh, let's not do this again, sort of thing. But yeah, imagine if we had 3. I'm just going to use the one we're linked to, like Parker, Wines, and Haynes or whatever in the team. Those guys have been, in big finals and played for a long time.
Yeah.
They'd sort of be able to at least steady the ship. So the 10 goal to 1 quarters are maybe they're like a 4 goal to 1 quarter or something like that. And then all of a sudden we're
still in the game.
We're going 11-0 and we're never losing again.
Yeah, I think that's
heard it here first.
Well, second half of the years to come.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
All right, Rashawn, have you got any more knowledge to drop there?
Well, I think on that as well, like I said, defense and defensive inexperience is a big one, and also size in our key positions.
Yeah. But this is one I was going to bring up and ask you about as well, in case we couldn't diversify these here. I think we get bullied a lot around contest and obviously in key positions. And it's
100%.
If we did get a Wines or a Parker, maybe they can come into training and bash these young kids up a little bit and get them competing a bit more.
I do think Mr. Minecraft, Ollie Wines,
Legally, of course.
Yeah.
They're of age.
I think he would be a fantastic addition. That bit of experience. I was talking to a couple of my mates and they were saying that North looks like Gold Coast and GWS in their first years. It's lots of young players who've never played together and a bunch of reasonably experienced players who are okay, but not the kind of people you want to build a team around. So it's kind of like there's a little bit, it's kind of like you've given someone or you've given a team just all these different players who've never met 18 to play for and okay, go off and have the time of your life. So it's I think it's a mix of different things, just being undersized, being so inexperienced, but also inexperienced in playing with each other as well. They don't have the same level of, I guess, chemistry between each other as they would maybe a high performing team like Sydney, for example.
No, that's true. I mean, maybe we're going from the Kangaroos to North Melbourne was almost like us being relocated and we're like an expansion franchise again. We have to start with just little pieces we found on the ground. Yeah, look, I think that's all pretty true. We all know the talent we've got and we all know not to bring in the core word again, not about Aiden Core, but the core group we've got here is really good. But give him 3 to 5 years and Wardlaw's going to be in his mid-20s and just taking the piss, basically. But the AFL media and the surrounding, the time that the media and the general public give people to rebuild is non-existent these days.
100%.
Every video I've watched or talked to D's fans or Blues fans, it took 20 years for the Blues, 10 to 15 for the D's, and maybe 5+ years for other teams like that. It's not going to happen. Realistically, Clarkson's coached 20 games for us. Yeah. So, I'm not too concerned about where we're at right now. Next year, depending on recruiting, will change expectation. But yeah, I think we nailed the holes on the head.
I think also when I compare listening to the lowest of the low with peak David Noble compared to Clarko. Clarko's literally just we'll be fine. It's interesting just kind of seeing how relaxed he is about the whole situation. And
he's been here before, and the Hawthorn thing we praise of how quick, one of the biggest turnarounds or quickest turnarounds in AFL history, and that's still 4 years.
Exactly.
I mean, he's only 2 years in, and his first year was basically non-existent, and people are already starting to question him. I know that's just for a headline and to banter and debate, but hopefully most North fans, rightly so, are frustrated, but also understand that it is a process. Clarkson's not wrong. I understand him saying the same thing every week in a presser is frustrating, but he's not wrong as well.
Exactly. And the fact that he's literally just reiterating it's going to be fine, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, if you're okay with this, like, you've seen it before.
We've got to back him.
I think the difference between Clarko and North fans is that Clarko came in at the end of 2022. His first season was 2023, and obviously last season was really interrupted for him. So this is really his first proper season in charge at the helm. But for North fans, we've been here since the end of 2016.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think people are we speak about this all the time. Like, we totally get it, but at the end of the day, like, now is the time where the club really needs us, you know, as the fans, to really kind of gather around them and support them and kind of move forward with this rebuild, because I can tell you now, we are going to win a game at some point this season, and I'm not going to feel sorry for anyone who doesn't turn up to games or, you know, turns their back, because that win that we do have, or the 2 or 3 wins that we will have at some point later in the year, is going to be 10 times sweeter and 10 times more meaningful than any win that Sydney or Geelong or
Unless
the
it's a grand final
Giants
win,
or of course.
I understand
but you know
what
what
you
I mean?
I know.
think
It's because we've been through the tough times. A win against Richmond might be like a premiership to us, which is incredibly sad, but it's also the things we've got to take while we're at this thing to make the football experience enjoyable
100%.
until we get to where we want to go.
100%.
To keep it more positive then, let's keep the good vibes going. What are we doing well? What's one thing, Marnie, that we are doing well as a football club right now?
I think our clearance work is definitely something that, you know, when we get going, we honestly, our midfield looks unstoppable.
Against the Bombers, we dominated.
Yeah, we did. And I mean, even against Port, we looked pretty good as well. I think that's probably the one area where, when, you know, Powell and LDU and these guys kind of get up and running, they almost look unstoppable. So I think that's definitely for me, and that's, you know, as long as you can keep that group together, I think that's probably the biggest positive that I can see. And it's, you know, when we look at opposition and when we look at where they're scoring from, it's not so often that they're scoring necessarily out of the centre of the ground, but it's more turnover from the back half of, you know, from the back of the ground, when we're trying to move the ball out of the defensive 50. That's where the ball gets turned over and then it goes the other way. But actually from the middle of the ground, we are more often than not dominating the clearances, or at least, you know, drawing square with an opposition.
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of credit to Tristan Xerri as well for being not an awful footballer this year and being actually pretty good.
You giving credit to Tristan Xerri?
No, I've always
Has hell
heard
frozen
him-
over?
No.
Has hell frozen over?
I have always said with Tristan Xerri, when he's good, I'll tell everybody he's good. I don't think anything I said about him last year was wrong, by the way.
No, me too. I'm
but
in the same
also,
boat.
you know, he's been quite good this year. Has he been as good as everyone maybe thinks? I don't think so. I think he's been really good, very good, but also doesn't impact around the ground, so he needs to be better at that. But that's old news. So Xerri is a big reason why we've been better out of the middle. What else are we doing very well, sir?
Well, I was going to say the clearance work, because I think when I've been listening to or like watching us play, and you hear the commentary, like they always say, like, North Melbourne's winning the clearances, but what are they doing wrong? But I do think we just tend to take a few more risks, I think, rather than... I mean, sometimes we do fall into our shell and do the good old kick up the line, 60 metres.
To
it
James
works
Stevenson.
every time.
Yeah.
1% of the time it works every time.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
basically, yeah, I just feel like, especially early in the season, I did like our use of just trying to get to the corridor wherever I can. Going out towards a boundary, you know, to start, but then sort of, you know, then gradually trying to look for options in the middle and be a little bit more risky, because chances are we're probably not going to win those one-on-ones. We're not going to win those big contested situations with those long kicks. So we're a smaller built team, and trying to play on and trying to work through the middle and use your speed. I think Clarko's trying to play to our strengths. And I think it hasn't, you know, probably more often than not, it hasn't worked. But when it has, it's been really, really good, and it's been really quick too, because we eventually can find players in the lead, which I have not seen in years. Like, this is the first season where I've consistently at least seen attempts to do that.
Yeah, because it definitely needs to be a lot better with hitting players on the lead. But I think mainly into our forward 50, it's pretty bad. Around the ground, especially maybe the last 6 weeks. I think we've been pretty good at hitting up players on the wing or trying to go into the corridor or switching the play a lot more as well, which the first month we did not do at all. And I called this out in the podcast, like, why aren't we trying to switch the play? We like pick a side of the ground.
Now
and
that you mention it.
Yeah, like that's what we did.
I haven't seen us do that all year.
Yeah, but like the first 4 weeks especially, we would pick a side of the ground to attack on and we would not switch. So they would bomb it down the line to CCJ or Alaki or Jaden Stevenson, and obviously it would just come straight back over our heads. But recently, especially with Fisher and hitting his good form, we're switching it a lot more. Aiden Core's obviously been a little bit better. He's progressing the ball to the other side a bit more and we're getting out and running a bit better. Now, the delivery into the forward line has still been god-awful. Yeah. But you know, at least the back half of the ground is building a little bit more for me. What about you, Lamb? Let's your brain and knowledge on this topic must be huge. So give us something we're not thinking about.
Sorry, I'm going to let you down here, Josh, but there's not much in this head. Look, I think it's to Rashawn's point as well. Like just I just remember going to David Noble era games, and sorry to bring up that name again.
We're sorry, there's a lot of David Noble.
Take a shot every time we talk about David Noble.
Yeah.
You'll need it.
A further north drinking game with like Hugh Greenwood and Aiden Core and Jerry and that sort of stuff would be wild.
The poor listeners would be
blasted.
comatose.
Yeah, I know.
That's a good Christmas present.
Yeah, we'll make a drinking game by the end of the year.
Yeah.
When we get smashed and we don't want to talk about the game 1 week, we'll just make a drinking game.
And I'll just come on here and sabotage it and say Trish and Jerry over again.
Damn, you're not invited.
But yeah, I reckon our midfield at times, this is where the consistency needs to come into it a bit more, but like the Freo game is what I always go back to. And I remember sitting there in that first half being like, we have not moved the ball like this with this much excitement and like pizzazz, I'll use that word, in a long time. David Noble era, we would bomb it, but at least we're trying. But I think, the thing is we just can't drop our heads.
It's
once
lack of
work,
execution instead of just having no clue, I think.
Yeah, so at least
time.
we're trying. Like all you can ask for is they're trying to do different things and trying to be exciting. So I think that's probably my biggest plus of the year is the midfield. Like Powell, for example, has gone to a whole other level. Helmet Jerry. He needs to keep the helmet on. I think that does something to him.
I don't think it's going anywhere.
No.
I think it's stapled on, actually.
Yeah, super glue.
It's just his hair. It just grows like that.
But I think that's the midfield. And look, LDU's, I think he's probably not had as good a season as last year. So there's like room for improvement there. I like how they're shifting Sheasel from defence to mid a little bit now too, because
absolutely.
I'd rather 25 Sheasel midfield disposals than 35 defensive disposals.
Definitely.
Yeah. Although I've got him in Supercoach, so I wouldn't mind them as well.
Well, that's true. One that I would maybe mark as well is our defence. Like especially the maybe second half of this first chunk of the season. Like, I think we were first part of the year, we were kicking over 80 points easily every game, but we'd give up 150. But now we're sort of kicking 60 to 65 points a game, but we're only giving up 100. And that's still a bad scoreline, obviously. But everyone outside of North Melbourne would have said and still says our defence is our worst thing, and I don't think it is anymore. I actually think it's probably our best thing. Midfield on its day, 100% our best thing, but when it's not, it looks obviously awful. I think our defence deserves a lot of credit to fix up all of the holes they were leaving. Like, there's not as many uncontested marks in the forward line anymore. They're more just getting beaten one-on-one, or the sheer amount of entries we're giving them maybe gets them over the line. But, and we called this out a lot, Marnie, of why are we playing so many like running offensive halfbacks in our back line? Like when you're playing, like I'm maybe not going to put Goda in there. I know he got injured, but like he's maybe more defensive. But Fisher, McKercher, Sheasel and Bailey Scott for some reason in our back line, that doesn't leave much defensive stocks there. And when we're already a bad defensive team, I didn't understand why that was happening. But then you can see Fisher's picked up form because Sheasel's gone in the middle and you've got your Jackson Archers there. I mean, Charlie Comben came back in, is making a difference. And there's different players we're starting to put through there that are playing better defensively. So another one besides the midfield, because we can't talk about the forward line because it's awful. But I think our defence has got a lot better, especially in the last couple of months.
Well, I think now we've kind of got the right mix, it seems. It kind of seems like we've got this 1-2 punch going on in the back line. And then Will Dawson's obviously played a couple of games and he's obviously got a lot to learn, but he's been looking pretty good. And
you
he's
can
showing
see there's
glimpses.
a raw player there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
but he's less of that lockdown defender and he's more of that sort of interceptor and spoiler and that sort of thing. And then you've got Fish, and I mean McKerch is injured, but you've got him, and then you've got Archer in there for that more defensive element. So it kind of seems like the balance, and I think this is sort of where I'm at the halfway point of the season, is the balance across the board kind of looks like the best that we've had all season.
Yeah, it's
and
come
it kind
together
of
slowly.
Yeah, it kind of looks like it's sort of starting to make sense, and the bones of and the structure of a really balanced, good side is there. And now it's just about, again, finding even more cohesion and kind of, continuity with these players.
That's kind of what I was saying before as well. We all said before about the lack of experience. Like
Yeah.
with this cohesive, the more cohesion being built with all these young talented players, I think if we could drop, an Ollie Wines or Parker, if we had a Cunnington or a Goldstein in there still, it'd be look better. I think we can all agree.
Yeah, 100%.
One more question and then we'll have a quick break. Player of the season so far. Let's try and differentiate these ones. Do you want to go first, Marnie?
No, you guys can go first.
Who wants to go first?
Dibs.
Okay. So you get the easiest one. Who's been your favourite player this season? Who's been our best?
Favourite?
Oh, go best player, and you can say your favourite afterwards.
I think the best player this year for us has been our boy Shees. I think he's been unreal all year. Just does what he wants, and he's like 18 or 19 or 20 or however old
A
he is.
child, yeah.
So
Minor.
he's unreal. Just like so good. I don't even
Okay.
know what to say. He's just so good.
Lost for words, mate.
He's
Are you a bit giddy
transitioned.
there, are you?
Yeah, well, I'm getting all nervous.
I'll help out. I think the fact that he's been able to seamlessly move from defence to the midfield and still have an impact and still move the ball as cleanly and execute it as cleanly as we've seen him do from last season. He hasn't really skipped a beat. Like his season last season was one of the best on debut, and then to back it up the way he has, it's really rare. I think especially at North, like it's really rare to see a player sort of back up their first season with an equally as good second season.
Paul Curtis is a good,
a good example
of that. Yeah, because his first season was great. Second season down, and he may be a little bit quieter recently, but a pretty decent season.
So that for me, I think, that's definitely, it's hard to disagree.
Yeah, it just gets you excited for imagine 3 more years of Shees. If this is already get in that midfield. Oh, Brownlows, I'm calling it now.
Watch out. All right, Marnie, who's been your best player for the season?
I'll do someone a bit different because I know who you're going to say. I'm going to say? Yeah, you'll probably say Chom. So I'm going to say...
The judgment here, lads, is out of control.
Was I wrong?
I actually hadn't decided yet. I was still thinking, you guys...
This is how well we know each other. I'm just thinking for you. I'm going to say Tom Powell.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think Tom Powell, I had him completely off the radar at the start of the season, and I thought maybe he'd get a run as a sub or maybe he'd come in and out of the side as required. But he's sort of made such a big impact for me. He's come into the side. His clearance work is unbelievable. And yes, his disposal maybe does need some work, but I don't know any North player whose disposal doesn't need
and better players
work.
around you will fix that as well.
100%. So I've been really, really impressed. His strength and his consistency. I feel like he's rarely really dropped a beat since he's come into the side.
Consistency as well with changing roles, because there was a little patch of like a month there where he didn't play as much in the midfield, but he still was able to find the ball. So.
He always can have an impact on a game no matter where he's playing, and I think no matter how many touches he does have in a game, he's always finding a way to make himself valuable and to add to the side. So I think in terms of the player I've been most impressed with so far this season as a whole, I'd have to say Tom Powell.
Now, Rashawn, I don't want to burst your bubble here. Jacob Edwards is delisted, so you can't say Jacob Edwards.
Oh, shit, he doesn't play for North anymore.
No, sorry.
Wait, sorry,
do you need another moment to think?
I forgot who he was.
Phoenix Spicer also plays for Footscray.
I am punching the wall. Look, my heart wants to say Toby Pink, but especially after his goal against the Bombers. But
it's too early to say Bryn Teakle as well.
I know. I'm not feeling Teaklish just yet. But look, I do think maybe not I was probably going to say Sheasel as well. But, someone who has been up there with our best, I would say Sherry. Purely just because, partly from an improvement point of view, but also, I think kind of him going up against Goldstein and getting the better of him it was
a daddy moment for sure.
Yeah, I think it was a coming of age moment for him. I think that was really exciting to see. Everyone, I think, was shit scared after what we saw from non-helmet Jerry. But the moment he's put a little bit of he's put in a bit of a position of pressure. He's obviously put the helmet on and he's decided to step up. he's obviously got some stuff to work as part of his game, but I think most players in the North Melbourne list do.
Yeah.
But
The improvement is undeniable, though.
Oh, 100%. And I think, I would be more worried without him in the side than without him
absolutely.
in the side than maybe a lot of other players.
Yeah.
But I think, look, the more protection he wears, the better. I hope he turns out in a full bodysuit of armour, but like medieval style. But,
chainmail and everything.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, maybe he's one of those larpers.
One of
in
those
Parkville.
like diving suits, the old school helmets that
Yeah.
everyone's head explodes in all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, but honestly, I do think, the way he stepped up and the way he has kind of led that sort of on-balling team, I think it's been impressive. And I'm curious to see how he goes going into the second half of the year.
Yeah, I think I have to go with Chom. I was trying to think who else I could go with. I think he's the other obvious one that's made a massive improvement.
100%.
The other ones maybe I could throw out is a Paul Curtis. I think he was probably been our best forward this season.
Could probably add Zach Fisher to that as well.
Of recent, yes, maybe just hasn't got the continuity in his game yet. But if he keeps doing that for the rest of the season, absolutely. But I think Comben's the obvious one. I mean, imagine how bad our defense. And I know Aiden Core's been playing well, but like how bad our defense would be without him in it. You know what I mean? Like it'd just be so atrociously bad. And I know your heart says Toby Pink could do it, but he's
better as a forward.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Well, putting Gingers from full back up to full forward, we saw it with Daniel Merritt and it was incredibly good. But
So I've never played full back,
it's a
mate.
tried
What are you
and tested.
talking about?
Yes, they're all the same person.
Yeah,
And the same rule applies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I can't believe Clarko dropped me. That's bloody, I didn't want to go to Darwin anyway. It's fine. Charlie Comben for me. I think he has to be named in this list. Otherwise, it's disrespectful. And if you're not most improved player, you don't get a song written about you, and it's as simple as that. I don't hear a Tristan Jerry song just yet, but it probably will be in the pipeline in not too long. All right, we'll pause it for a second here. We're going to collect our thoughts, and we're going to come back with a lot more because this one's probably going to be a longer one. So strap in. We're only just getting started. All right, the thoughts have been gathered. We've all decompressed. We're starting to get a bit tense. We were falling out with each other. I could feel it. It's all this Tristan, Jerry, and Aiden Core talk is getting a bit steamy in here. So we just had to...
Reminded me of Todd Goldstein and Jason Horn-Francis at halftime against GWS that one time.
Looks like the scene from the Titanic in here. It's wild. Okay. I guess it kind of leads on from our last question, but I've got breakout player. Do we want to try and pick a different one than we selected for breakout player? Marnie, you're the nuffy here. You go.
I'd say probably Colby McKercher. It's his first season, sure, but I think he's really, and I don't want to put down Dersma in the same way of praising Colby, but you kind of look at, the immediate impact that Colby's had on the side as opposed to Durs, who's probably a little bit slower to get going.
Hard in that forward line, though.
It is difficult in that forward line. And it's no disrespect to Durs. I think he has, while he has taken a while to get going, he has had some nice moments and he's definitely shown some promise. But Colby, he's kind of just burst onto the scene and he's pretty much replaced Sheasel down back, and he's as effective as Sheasel was in that role, moving the ball outside of our defensive 50, and it's allowed Shees to move into the midfield, and then we really need him to play there. We need him to have an impact there. So I think McKercher, I think it's hard to go past. I think he's definitely been a star for us. Okay. I think we'd actually really miss him being injured as well.
Hopefully back against the Eagles.
Yeah,
hit us with some knowledge, mate.
I would say Fisher for me. Just more so because of his back, his second half of his last couple of rounds. I think just really shows us what he can do. It's now really just a question of consistency. I thought he would be kind of, reasonably reliable, but not quite as part of the backbone that we really need. And now I can't really see, even once we do start improving, a backline without him in the side. In terms of, like we've sort of said previously, the amount of run he gives us and that speed in terms of transition, if we can turn that into more effective transitions into the forward line, he's going to be really good in terms of getting it over quickly. So I think he's also one of those players that I've consistently seen just trying to look for options that are more risky. And when you're not going to have players taking risks or, trying to make options if he's not looking for it, at least. Yeah.
And I think he's adjusting to his role as a half-back, because obviously Carlton trialled him in all different positions. But I think, I think now he's sort of starting to break out in his role for us. Yeah. So, I could see that.
Yeah, so I do think just, as long as the players understand what he's trying to do, and his teammates understand what he's trying to do and where he's trying to go with the footy, I think that it could be really exciting. It's now kind of, can he work his game style into what other players sort of, want from him, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. The knowledge is coming.
Not quite, but I will probably we can say the obvious one's Chom here, but I'll leave that for you, Josh, because I know.
No, I've got another player in my mind.
I'm going to say Cal Dawson prior to the
pick.
That's a
prior
great
to the
shout.
longest 1 to 2 week injury I've ever seen in
You
my life.
know what? You're so right, because I even started calling out on the Instagram. I'm like, this thing doesn't go down. What's going on with this guy?
He had a
That silly Irishman always ruins my week.
A 6 week, 1 to 2 week injury is insane. But yeah, like just the first 3 weeks, because he played like one game last year, I think, or 2 games, something.
One.
Like
I think
he
one, the
played the
Gold
last
Coast.
game.
and we won by 7 goals. So there we go. Yeah, like you could always I always used to think last year, it's like, why is this guy not playing for us? He was so good in the VFL. He's the perfect height and type of player we need. And then he came in and he was our best defender in the first 3 or 4 weeks when we didn't have Chom down there.
Yeah.
So it's going to be pretty exciting to see in the next few weeks. Griffin Lowe, Cal Dawson, Comben, Core.
Yeah, I
all
don't know.
the same
You can't
backline. I
fit
don't
that many
think
big guys into the lineup.
Someone's going to have to go
though, so-
forward and maybe push out Toby Pitt.
Yeah, and
But I doubt it.
well, we don't want to see. Oh,
Oh no.
look who's
Sorry,
sitting next to you,
Rashawn,
mate. Read
sorry.
the room. Cold water in the showers that way, mate, if you need to. Yeah, I mean, I guess Chom should go forward, but Clarko sort of said he's not going to, so I'm not
I
sure
don't know.
what happens
Aiden
there.
Core kicked that really impressive goal from Turner's
Aiden Core on the wing
overlap
playing a
hand
Matthew
pass.
Richardson role. That'd be all right.
Oh, Jesus.
Mason Wood role.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, so could
I think Griffin Logue also, like, I think in his Freo days, not that I watch any Freo games because
He did swing. He did swing up forward. And I think we did actually try Logue a couple of times up forward last season.
But that
as
was
well.
a break glass in case of emergency.
That was
He
like the
did say-
Mackay forward games. Remember that?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
did
I
come
wanna
here
forget
saying he
those.
wants to play in defence, and that's why he came to North Melbourne as well. So I don't know. I mean, if Josh Walker's available out there, maybe we get him as well. So
That's a name I've forgotten.
yeah, if you guys have thought about Josh Walker in the last 6 months, let me know, because I guarantee you did it. That's the insight you get on the Further North podcast. Mine was probably going to be Paul Curtis. I mentioned him before. I've got 2 names and I'll throw both of them out. So Paul Curtis, I think obviously last month maybe a little bit quieter, but he's declined as our forward lines declined. But when we were attacking but getting scored against so heavily, he was electric. You know, he looked fantastic. So I want to put Paul Curtis in there. The other one who I think's established their spot now, bar injury, is Jackson Archer. I think just what he brings compared to anybody else with the tackling ability, the ability to be able to tag and just fight in every single contest is like a standard setter in that back line. And I know he's not the best player or the most talented player back there, but he's set a standard in, he's only played 2 or 3 games, but he set a standard with, look, I thought he broke his ankle, to be honest. And then he came back on and played that game a few weeks ago. You know, had the week off, came back into the team and impacted again. Once again, he's not going to get 30 touches and run off half back, but I don't know. I think we can all agree it feels like he's sort of established in that back pocket now. So I guess I'll count that as a bit of a breakout for him because we don't have anyone who tackles like that. So
Yeah, an Archer in the back pocket. It's always a good thing to see on the team sheet.
lucky
as well.
Tony Lockett's not playing anymore because we know what his dad did to him. So 96, a good year. Okay, let's go to the next question. Underperforming players. Who's everybody's underperforming
How long
player?
have you got? Jeez.
I guess I can start this one because and this is probably the most obvious, and I'll talk so you guys have some more time to think if you don't already have it in your heads. Nick Larkey is the obvious one for me. I love the big Suv, and he will be a star for this club. His dedication and commitment arguably should be captain. I'm not questioning any of this. Once again, the forward line, the functionality of it, garbage. And he is the only option up there to kick long to. So it isn't all his fault getting triple teamed basically every single game. I mean, you saw from the Port game where Radigali is wearing him like a glove. Alir is just dropping in the hole in front of him all the time. And if Zerk Thatcher can be an AFL player, just third man upping it and also just being a body there. But at the end of the day, he got a big contract. He kicked 70 plus goals last year, and we do need him to step up, and he's in the leadership group. So, you know, I'm a bit disappointed with Nick Larkey. His goal kicking as well, when he does get the chance, seems to be off. I'm not as confident he's going to kick it every single time now. So, you know, I'd expect a massive recalibration from him to come back in the second half and perform. We said at the start of the year, it doesn't need to be at the level he was last year. I think we can all agree that, like, last year, incredible. That probably isn't the standard for him now. That is him at his best, and him doing that in a good side, hopefully in 3 to 5 years' time, will be a fantastic player. But getting pushed under the ball all the time, dropping
Very
chest marks,
soft, to be honest.
you know, and a bit of flopping, if we're going to be honest. Yeah, I expect better from him. With the output, but also the body language or intent, and not getting pushed under. You should know you're getting pushed under all the time. They go back and watch the games. If we're sitting on the couch going, Larky's pushed under the ball again. That was one thing I said to you, Marnie, in the Port Adelaide review, that I don't think he got pushed under the ball as much. Yeah, he got spoiled all the time because he was getting shadowed by 3 key defenders, but I don't think he got pushed under the ball quite as much. So hopefully that's a little bit of an adjustment he's made and can be better in the season, because he did take a couple of decent marks like that. So hopefully he can get better, and I fully believe he will, but disappointing for me. So who's going to go next?
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick in the forward line. I reckon the Bull, Cam Zerha.
Oh, yeah.
I've noticed, especially in a few games, he loves a bit of me time, I think, at the moment, which I'm not sure is his way of getting other clubs to notice him a bit, but there's a couple of times where, you know, the handball over the top, a nice easy centering kick, and he goes for a bit of a...
Jake Stringer-like finish.
Yeah, just something like that, and it's like...
But he doesn't nail it half the time.
Yeah, that's the thing. He doesn't.
problem.
He doesn't really. And look, I can tell he's a bit frustrated, which is fair, and he has been a good player for us. But you know, that 6-goal game against Richmond to win us that
The King of Marvel.
the King
a long
of
time
Marvel.
ago.
Yeah, it's
Like,
only 2 years
I
ago.
haven't seen that performance in a while. It's
No.
sort of just the 1 or 2 goal games.
Especially after his preseason as well. He was, you know, cut
Yeah.
from
Fit and
sheer
firing.
granite, you know, and was meant to have the best season ever on the planet. And yeah, I can't even, like, he was okay. He kicked a couple of 2 or 3 goals in a game, you know, about a month ago or so. But other than that, hasn't really impacted.
Yeah, because he's like our barometer player sort of thing. Like he's the one that's just...
Can win
you
a
know,
game
he's-
off his own boot.
Yeah, he can. He's like 25 now, I think. Like in his prime, and yeah, I hope he stays with us, because he's going to be he's a really good player
Okay.
when he wants to. But yeah, just this year, I don't know where he's at, honestly.
One thing with Cam Zerha, which I'd love to be a fly on the wall in a meeting with him, is what is actually the instruction for him?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there's been times where he has, you know, just been given the license to kind of roam free and do what he wants. And I think when he's just given the keys and...
When he's on, he can do that.
Right. But I feel like there was a rumour that sort of streamed through in the second half of last year that he was told to stop being so selfish and to pass the ball and to be more of a team player.
Didn't I call him Mesut Zerha for those Arsenal fans out there last year? Because we were at one of the games at Marvel and I was doing the goggles, like the Mesut eyes for him. That's a very deep reference,
Mesut
Marnie. I'm
Zerha.
sorry.
Yeah,
Mesut
sorry,
Zerha.
guys. That just went completely over my head.
You got it? Okay.
So I just, you know, part of me feels like his best footy is when he actually can be selfish, but I feel like half the time he's hesitant to be selfish because he's been given instruction to do otherwise. So I think that maybe it's a confidence thing with him too. It's sort of, if we just back him in 100% to do what he needs to do, then hopefully we'll get the best output from him. But I said at the start of the season that Cam Zerha needs to prove to us that he's worthy of a
Yes,
contract
it's
as
true.
much as
Yep.
we need to
Yep.
prove to him that we're worthy of him, you know, investing in us long term. So I'm still on the fence with him. I'm not sure
Yeah.
where I sit with him in terms of wanting to be there. But yeah, I think the second half of the year could be really telling for him.
I'm nervous that he's going to have a good second half and we'll give him a big deal and he's going to play like he has the last year and a half. To be honest, I mean, I would probably be moving on from Cam Zerha personally. Not that he, like when he's on, he's electric, and we need a player like that, but we also need a player that can do it when it's tough as well. And you know, at this point, I think, you know, getting a compensation pick for him or anything off that is maybe more beneficial. A pick that we could trade for an experienced player from that. I mean, that's the way I would personally be leaning with Cam. I mean, even if he comes back and kicks 30 for the rest of the year, would be wild, but you know, like all Essendon fans are with Jake Stringer right now, they're terrified because they're going to offer him a massive deal when he's in his mid-30s and he might just come back and do what he's done for every year bar this year for them.
The Jared Pollock deal.
Yeah.
Only plays well
Oh,
in his
God.
contract year. Sorry to bring that name up again.
There's been a lot of references to dark times on this podcast. All right, Marnie, who's your underperforming player?
I don't know if it's so much him underperforming or he's sort of been a victim of the way he's been positioned this year. But Bailey Scott, I think for me, has definitely been one of the most disappointing.
He was your surprise
players.
All-Australian, wasn't he?
He was my surprise All-Australian at the start of the year, and I think on the back of the season he had last year, I don't think that was an unwarranted call to make.
It was great.
I mean, he doesn't work in defence, and that's not, if he's been played out of position, then again, I mean, how much is he a victim of sort of the positioning that he's been given? But at the same token, his disposal's pretty awful when he's been playing in defence.
Which was kind of a strength. I'm not saying he was ever an elite, but like you could rely on him.
He was definitely a clean user of the footy. So for me, he's just been incredibly underwhelming. And he has been moved back onto the wing sort of in the last couple of weeks. And
when we've got those defensive players sort
exactly,
of back,
and I'd like to just see him stay there because really he's our best winger.
Yeah, absolutely.
And right now the other wing, we thought Dylan Stephens would come on, and he hasn't really
Another
the way
one
we'd
could
sort
be
of
counted as
hoped.
disappointing. Yep.
And so I think Bailey Scott can run all day. He's definitely our best runner. So I think we really need to figure out a way to make sure that he stays there and then bring him back into his best form. I think that, but for me, so far, he's been incredibly disappointing to start the year.
That's fair. Hit us. What do you got?
I was going to say one of those three, but I think Dylan Stephens. Yeah, so I guess like it's comparing him to how maybe like Zach Fisher has come into the side and how well he's fit in and how, we're starting to build a game around him and his playing style.
For sure, especially off half-back,
Where, I think a lot of additions to the club, it's like how do what they bring fit into what the club's, trying to do? And I can't see Stephens, at least what he's doing, really fitting in well with like how the club is going and how the club plays.
Yeah, it's interesting because I really believe in Dylan Stephens still. I think a lot of the issue with him maybe wasn't him per se, because I think when he got the ball, he actually was quite clean with the ball and made an impact. Yeah. His problem for me personally, and you guys could disagree with this, but what I saw was he never got the ball. And that was because a lot of the times where he was never playing back in that defence. So what we would do was we would try and run it out of our defence, resort to a long kick down the line every single time, and that bypasses his game completely.
Yep.
So I think we can play. I would personally be bringing him back in for another shot. Just because I think with more control out of our defence now, which we've had in the last month or two, I think he can really benefit off that being that next link up from Fisher or from a McKercher coming out of the back line. And like we talked about before, like Chom's disposal out of the back line is pretty good. Aiden Corr's finding it more and is more confident. I think he can benefit off that. But when it was just chaos North ball running out of there, running into a wall of players, I just don't think that benefited him at all. He needs to be better at not, getting around the ball. But at the end of the day, he just kind of didn't. So I'd be giving him another shot, and I think he can still be a really good player for us long term. But yeah, I would have expected him maybe to impact more.
Yeah, I think also to add to Cameron Zurhaar, I think like we've already mentioned, he's the kind of player to win games off his own boot. And the last player I think who had that sort of, I guess, both charismatic but also, exciting style of play to them for us was Lindsay Thomas.
I was going to say Lindsay.
He's the closest comparison I can give. Maybe more physical version of Lindsay Thomas.
Yeah.
Because he was more like a Crum and Evade type of player. But can I see Zurhaar? I actually realistically cannot see a situation where Zurhaar can even emulate that sort of really like level of brilliance.
Yeah.
It sounds harsh, and
the individual level of brilliance.
I love the guy.
Yeah.
He's just not as hungry. That's
no,
the difference.
exactly.
But he's also not playing in as good of a team as well. And look, I agree everything with the hunger, absolutely. But I also don't blame the players for being a bit fed up with what they've got around, especially guys like LDU and Zurhaar, which have been here for 6-7 years. It doesn't mean it's an excuse not to perform and not to be, you get paid to care, right?
Well,
but, I would probably also be kind of like, well, they keep giving me 18-year-olds to help me and I'm in my prime right now,
Well, that's the thing, like almost a hot take, but like I think at the back of my head, if he keeps performing the way he is, I don't think a club's going to want to sign him.
Yeah, I think he's done enough in his. Yeah, wow. I think he's done enough in his career to show in a good side he can impact. I think someone will give him some money, but I would be fearful that we've offered him a big deal, and I'd be fearful it's still on the table. Another club won't pay that, and he'll just sign the deal with us, and we've got 5 more years of hoping he does something. But then, like I said, getting a compensation pick, maybe early second round or late first round for him. and being able to deal that to a club to get a Nick Haynes, I know he's a free agent, but anyone like that, or an Ollie Wines, give that to the Power. They've traded a lot for Alir and Radigalir and things like that in the past, so their draft capital might not be fantastic. They're the things you've got to drop to get players like that back. So if Zerha could be a collateral for a better, more experienced player coming in, I think absolutely do it. You know what I mean?
I think, if he doesn't buy into, like, as well, like, I want players that want to be there.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't want to be there, honestly, like, go off and do your thing. Like, I don't want to have a player that's going to harm.
We can all agree that the body language is very Ben Mackay-esque.
It is,
And
yeah.
Zerha's never been the guy to come out and be very vocal. Like, I know, obviously, with Horn Francis he was, but like to maybe to the fans and everything, Mackay wasn't as well. And I was saying last year a lot that let's not judge it too soon, but I do feel like he'll leave. I kind of feel like that was Zerha. He's never the one fronting the media and stuff, but also
No.
you can only read what you can see on the pitch. And when you've got younger guys like a Paul Curtis or an Eddie Ford who come in and do better than him when he's probably got more talent and more experience. So can I throw out another couple of names maybe that have been disappointing? You guys can just tell me what you think.
100%,
Dersma as well. Young and think he'll be great, but I maybe wanted to see a little bit more. Maybe hasn't even been in the conversation for a Rising Star nomination at all.
Yeah.
Not trying to be too harsh on him because he's got plenty of years in his career left, but I maybe was being
Probably wanted
number
more
4
from
pick.
him, I think,
maybe a
for
little bit
sure.
more.
I think he'll come good, but
I
he's
agree.
he's one of those players where it's like he has games where he plays good, but his best is not good. Like his best is like, potential best on ground.
Yeah, for sure. You can see in flashes he's going to be
100%.
great. But, yeah.
Like he will, and he will, but I think for someone who has come into the side at such a high draft pick, you'd really, really be hoping like that he's playing
maybe be able
like
to
a
impact a bit
McKercher.
more.
So I do think, like good, but like I just expect so much more from him.
Yeah. The other one I was going to throw out, we'll go to you, Liam, is Stevo. Stevo. Do you reckon?
I love Stevo.
I know you love him, but is he performing? Has he been underperforming?
I think similar to Dersma and Stevo, they're a victim of the way we play a bit as well. So Stevo, similarly to Stevens, he works best when he's got space because he uses the ball really well as well, Stevo.
Yep.
Like whenever he gets it, it's sort of like something will happen. It's just he doesn't get it enough is the thing.
I mean, the common trend here is forward line players, right?
Yeah,
Being a victim of being in our forward line right now is hard. So
Like I know, and the thing that I think fans get frustrated with Stevo is because he's built like a stick and he doesn't particularly win contested or hard ball. But
It's never been his game.
you don't need 20. Like you don't need to be that type of player if you're really good on the outside and quick and a good kick.
The
So
other
it's like
issue with Stevo is that our tall forwards don't bring the ball to ground very well. So,
No.
someone like Stevo should be able to thrive off those opportunistic goals inside of our forward 50. He should, if Larky's not taking a mark, he should at the very least be able to bring the ball to ground and then, Stevo can run on past and, hopefully stroll into a goal. So I think I definitely agree with that. I think he's a bit of a victim of the way that we have been playing. I'm going to throw a couple other names out there. Will Phillips, I think.
Yeah, good. Yeah,
we
good
probably
call.
really expected him, especially, and the other one is Jai Simpkin. But Jai Simpkin, I don't know how much of that really is injury, and then
Regardless
how much
of
that
reason, though, I think
it's
we
just
gotta
been a
say it.
flat season.
Yeah.
So with Simpkin out, that for me, there's the door wide open for Phillips, and the fact that he still can't take that opportunity when it's pretty much handed to him on a silver platter at this point. I can't see a way forward with him after this season.
I mean,
to be
he's a
honest.
perfect player where I would be looking to trade as well. Once again, we're hunting experience, right? He's still a young guy. He's still got potential, but isn't working in our system. If we could trade him to somebody to get something.
Harley Reid.
Yeah, if we could trade him for Harley Reid directly with nothing else, I think that'd be a perfect trade.
Let me make some calls.
I don't know, we had a human trade machine here, out of control. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's a good call as well with those two. Has anyone got any others to throw out, or we think that's we're getting too negative?
Will Phillips is a good one because he's the one where he's probably one of the younger players that's still just entrenched in the VFL. Like most of the other ones have sort of come in and had 4 or 5 reasonable games, but Phillips came in, I think he had like 7 touches or something in one of the games and just didn't look like it, so unfortunately.
The other two I've sort of got in my head would be Charlie Lazaro. I don't think he's been bad, but I think his preseason maybe suggested he's well ahead of a Phillips and a Powell. And then obviously Powell's taken a massive step, and Lazaro maybe hasn't quite got there. He's
definitely
fallen
agree
back
with
into that sub at best sort of thing, I think. And, maybe wanted a little bit more from him. And the other one, which Marnie's going to be very excited at, is Darcy Tucker. I know he had a fantastic game, and some did dispute that, but hey, let's call it what we can see. It was a good game against the Power, but the rest of the season, I think he's been pretty rubbish. And once again, he was the guy in pre-season.
He was the guy in pre-season, 100%.
So I'm not sure what's going on there, but I think they would be the ones for me, maybe, that I could think of as well. But look, Darcy Tucker must have some dirt on Clarko because he continuously gets picked, and now we can't even complain because he had one good game, and now he can't lose his spot. God damn it. Okay, next question. How are all of the rookies going? We've talked about McKercher. We've talked about Dersma. Let's talk about the other ones. So Will Dawson has played a few games. What have we all thought? Whoever wants to speak?
Yeah, I think he's actually come in and been pretty comfortable playing. Given he's in a North
He did get 10 goals in 2 games kicked on him, but
they were against good players, and they're also playing against North Melbourne. So that's,
and he's 18 years old.
Yeah, so I think
child.
it's really hard to judge Will Dawson just yet, given he's only played two games I think for us so far. But when I watch games, I'm not pulling my hair out going, oh
No.
This kid's
You can tell he competes well. And you can tell
he
he's
does.
got the attributes to be a good defender.
I think
100%.
it's just one of those players which we need to just invest in and keep playing, even if it doesn't need to be AFL every week, but it's just put some games into him and he'll be a good player for us, I think.
Yep. What do you think of him?
Yeah, no, I think, look, he's definitely looked comfortable. As Liam said, I think that unfortunately he has had 10 goals kicked on him in 2 weeks, but that is the issue when you've got, you're coming up against 2 very quality opposition in Essendon and Port Adelaide, and they've got multiple avenues to go. But I definitely would persist with him. I'd give him a few more games at senior level, and if
It would be hard for him in the second half of the year with Logue coming back as well. So
I think
and
for
Callum
now,
Dawson.
I agree. I think for now,
Play him till they're back.
Play him there, and then kind of just reassess and see how he goes. I think across the board with our rookies, the only one I've really been disappointed, I use that term very loosely, is Dersma.
Yeah.
But I think everyone else has sort of shown signs that, they are a player for the future. I mean, obviously McKercher, Riley Hardiman's had a few games as well, and he was pretty good when he was in the side, and then even guys in their second year, Cheezel, Wardlaw, we haven't even spoken about yet, but Wardlaw was nominated again for the Rising Star.
Yep.
And fair play to him. I mean, the thing with Wardlaw is he's still a bit inconsistent for me.
Yeah.
He'll have, 1 or 2 games where he'll just set the world on fire and you'll think, oh my God, this
is the guy.
This is the next Chris Judd, and then, he'll go missing. But I think the other thing with Wardlaw is maybe we're just trying to make cotton wool him slightly.
How much would he benefit from a leader in that midfield, though? You know what I mean? Imagine if he played next to an Ollie
imagine
Wines.
Parker and
Yeah,
Wardlaw in
Yeah.
that midfield.
I mean, we've said last year, and we've even said at the start of this year, he is the barometer in the midfield for me.
Yeah.
He for me has been setting the standard for a while there, and it's a lot of pressure to put on someone so young and so inexperienced.
Especially after losing a Cunnington. And I know, Taryn maybe wasn't the same sort of player, but losing Cunnington and Taryn in that midfield is massive.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
Those young guys, Powell has stepped up, and Wardlaw, is getting more consistent, but you can't ask guys who are 22 and 19 to step up and replace the talent of a Taryn Thomas and the just experience of a Ben Cunnington. So
Exactly. So, I think besides Dersma, they've all shown reasonably good signs to me. And it's not to say that Dersma hasn't showed good signs. I just think what my expectation was going into the season, maybe he hasn't lived up to it just yet.
we'll go to Rashawn then. Let's talk about Riley Hardiman.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of rookies more broadly, but more specifically Riley Hardiman, I think there's a lot to look forward to. The one I really want to see more of, actually, sort of to go away from him, is Finn Maley. I'd love to see I feel like a bit of size would be really good, but I think in terms of that would be really good to see. But I think with Hardiman, he's fit in quite well. I think he definitely has. He again, where he's been very unlucky coming up against such quality opposition, and like you said, multiple avenues forward. As an 18, 19-year-old, you're never going to get the better of experienced players like, say, a Langford, or I'm not sure who he lined up against Port. But I think, definitely, having some leadership back when, Logue comes back, I think is fantastic. And then, in the middle with Wardlaw, if we get a Parker or a Wines, I think that sort of direction from them, and also that chemistry, I think, if they kind of have someone to look up to and be like, oh, he knows what to do, I'm going to sort of emulate his style of play. I think that would be really fantastic from more so a psychological point of view. I think it'd be really good. But I think besides really Dersma, I think they've all kind of gone how I would have expected them to.
We
have
weren't
gone.
expecting Taylor Goad to play
No.
at all. He's a very long-term prospect.
No,
I
exactly.
guess we can lump second-year players in. Like maybe a Drury for me is. I just don't think he had one good game when he came in for it. Who did he play against? Was it Geelong? Yeah,
Yeah.
His first game he played this season. Yeah, I just don't know. Like, what did I say to you a few weeks ago? Like. If leadership's your best quality, then you've got to get better quality. Like, not that leadership's not a great quality to have, but, he doesn't really kick goals. He's not super quick. He's not crumbing the ball a lot. He's not very skillful with the ball, snapping from the boundary line. He's just a little bit better than a Phoenix Spicer to me.
Yeah.
So, and I know that's a bad comparison.
That's like as insulting as it gets, I reckon.
But it's kind of true. Like, what does he do? If we were going to say right now, what does Blake
He's
Drury's...
a clean user of the football.
Yeah.
But I just think he's better. I don't think he would peak at, I don't think he peaks at being one of the best on the team.
Yeah.
I think he kind of peaks at, being a second option. And it's a really rough thing to say, but I don't think his best is going to be, sadly, good enough.
No, I kind of feel the same. Same as Cooper Harvey, to be honest. We saw some good signs from Cooper in the preseason, had a few bags of goals as well, I think, and was taking some contested marks and hasn't even got an opportunity. I know he got injured, I think, as well, so that hampered him a little bit. But around that injury, I haven't really heard his name be thrown into the ring for selection. So
where does Braden George fit in?
Well, I guess Braden George did have an injury, a shoulder injury, I think.
Yeah, he's been really unlucky.
He is back now, though.
He's back now.
Fit.
He's playing off half back.
I'd love to see him just thrown forward. I think that small forward role is the one role that we still haven't got right yet. And unfortunately, I don't think that for the most part, the talent's there. I mean, Stevenson's been okay. I mean, he's obviously had
last few weeks.
The last couple of weeks have been pretty good.
Curtis can play that role.
Yeah, Curtis and Ford can play that role, sure, but I think we need. Both of them have really excellent marking ability. So I would leave those guys to kind of still be, marking targets up forward. I'm talking that real buzzy.
Yeah, Robert Hanson's not going to make it at the level, unfortunately.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think that, we probably do need to try, and I would definitely try George in the second half of the year up forward. I think it'd be a mistake not to.
He's a pretty big player. He's about 190 or 180 something. Yeah. I think late 180s.
You know who else is a big player? Jacob Edwards.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Jacob Edwards. Is Bryn Teakle just Jacob Edwards? And he's just got
reincarnated.
I'm just saying I'd like to see some badge.
Yeah.
Just in case he's been reincarnated in Bryn Teakle. Next question here. Which is our worst loss of the season? Now, we did talk about this before, and all communally we agree it is the Hawthorn loss.
Yes.
Yep. Let's try and diversify, because we can all agree it is the Hawthorn loss.
It is the Hawthorn loss.
Marnie, give us a different
I'm going to
one.
go to the Lions, gather round. That game was over in the first 5 minutes. It
Yeah.
was
Yes, it
absolutely...
was. We hate gather round.
It was...
We just hate gather round.
But Mount
It
Barker
was-
has really good fish and chips.
Thank God.
Okay,
too.
well, we moved
didn't
to
even play there.
We've moved to Norwood this year, so we
I know.
actually were a little bit closer to the
Disgusting.
city. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, we
Just
probably
so-
should have saved everyone in Adelaide and
side
kept
note.
us in Mount Barker.
Side note on Adelaide, why is the water textured? Why is it creamy?
It's like drinking an up and go, but it's
Why do you
water.
have to chew on it?
Did it have pulp? yeah. Why does the Adelaide water have pulp?
Oh, God.
You get the flip mixer and ones with pulp and without pulp.
Yeah, but sorry, you could on the topic of Adelaide, gather round.
Yeah, that's all I have to say. It was a terrible game.
Let's
it was
go quick
over
with
in
these
the
because
first,
I'm getting upset.
It was over in the first 5 minutes. The only good thing about that game was the fact that both Hugh and Charlie played.
Okay. That was Chom's first game.
That was
wasn't
Chom's.
it?
It was
The breakout game.
both of their first games for the season. I almost booked a flight over. And
You did too. Marnie was on the phone
I
with me
was on
going,
the
I need to
phone.
book a flight now. And
Yeah.
This was like Friday night as well.
It was the Thursday
We played
night,
at
and
1:45.
we played at 4 o'clock on the Friday, and on Thursday night.
That's right,
And
yeah.
on the Thursday night,
Rubbish
I've
time.
got Dad and Josh both talking me off the ledge
Oh,
because I was
do it.
on my way to the game. I was going.
Literally, I was coming from work. I'm on the train. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I'm going to go to the pub. I'm not joking. I just went straight home. And like, at the time, I was living at home and Dad's like, aren't you going to the pub? I'm like, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not going.
Today I'm
watching
choosing
that.
mental health.
Well, the thing is as well, it makes it even worse because that for us is a family derby because we're Fitzroy natives and Brisbane Lions is the other half of the family. So yeah, it was rough viewing and rough. Dinner time was very silent.
Okay, what's your worst loss then? Speaking on that,
It was definitely a Brisbane game.
give me another one.
Another one. Oh,
You've
a lot
got
to
plenty
pick
to
from.
choose from.
yeah. Just trying to think what made me feel the worst besides.
Well,
the
while you
Bombers.
think, I'll tell you
So,
mine.
yeah.
Freo, because we came out of the blocks so hot. We were all at that game, and I'm thinking, here we go,
Flag
baby.
roast.
This is gonna, unbelievable. And giving them the last 2 goals in the last couple of minutes of that second quarter, I said to all you guys at halftime, it's not enough. Because I could sense what was going on. Every minute of that game before the last 5 minutes of the second quarter, I was on cloud 9. I'm like, this is the best team I've ever seen in my life. Don't worry about the 99 team. They're rubbish. And no, it didn't turn out to be that way. Luke Jackson decided he was prime Chris Judd in a 2 meter tall human being and absolutely daddied us. So
Yeah.
I think that one is another one that sticks for me because they gave me the hope and they ripped it away from me so quickly.
Yeah, I was going to say the Geelong one, the Geelong game. The only highlight of that was Admin 2's best man speech at Admin 1's wedding. But yeah.
Can I give you an actual highlight? I think Tristan Jerry took a contested mark that game.
Did he?
Yeah, I think.
Well, Blake Drury scored his first goal. That was really good to see. Or in the
was good to
first quarter, I looked at the quarter time scores and I was like, okay, this is all right. Like we can work with this. And then like I look at half time and I'm like,
Nope.
We absolutely cannot work with
no,
this.
I have a wedding. No, I was like, nope, I have a wedding to go to.
Thank God.
Was the highlight of your season Toby Pink debuting? Because how did you feel when you got to see him in the flesh in the stadium?
Yeah, well, I shouted out to him. He looked over at us.
You did shout to him,
Yeah.
actually. He looked at you like, you're,
Oh, he
you're a
couldn't-
flog, mate. Like,
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he looked at me and I'm like, oh, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself then.
That's exactly how he looked at you too. He did.
Yeah.
He did.
I cried myself to sleep that night.
Sorry
And
to bring
every
that up.
night since,
Yeah.
probably.
That's right, kids. I am totally okay and have gotten over it.
Everything's fine. All right, Liam, give us your
Your
worst
worst.
loss.
Oh, Jesus. For me, my most hated team in the AFL is Port Adelaide. And that loss was just heartbreaking because I hate Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Seeing Horn Francis smug, they're up by 10 goals. It's the end of the third quarter, start of the fourth. It's in Tasmania. It's got all the...
Oh, easy, mate.
Oh, sorry. I shouldn't have
Easy.
mentioned the Tasmania part.
It's getting personal. I know you're upset. There's no need to make it personal.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, that took it too far. But yeah, that was just really... Because we were actually in the game at halftime and we did the classic concede 2 quick goals in the third quarter and then
heads go
everyone
down.
just
All confidence
dropped their
is
heads.
gone.
Yep.
So yeah, that was... The Hawthorn one still is number 1 for me, but the Port one just hurt a little bit more as well.
Okay. Well, swiftly moving on, we're going to take one more break. We're going to, once again, maybe go cry, have a cold shower, see if each other are okay. And now we're going to come back and do the last section of the review. So we'll be back in a second.
See you soon.
All right, we're back, recalibrated, ready to go. Are we all happy again? Are we all cheerful?
Yes,
Yeah,
very happy.
we're good,
Okay,
we're
that's
good.
good. That's good. Ready for a slow decline. So, no, joking. Season highlight. What's everyone's season highlight?
Aiden Corr's performance on Max King and Langford.
Okay. What's yours?
Aiden calls.
Come on, they were 2 of the best individual performances all season.
Aiden Corr's performance did make me get straight into Photoshop and make that Kingslayer
Yeah, that was a leap. by the
photo.
way.
So,
It was good.
so many people missed Modern Corfare as well, and I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was one of the people that missed it. But
Yeah.
Thanks for reminding
It was
us,
funny
Josh,
twice
for this.
though, so that's good.
Yeah. No, I think, jokes aside, I think, let's just go with that, actually.
Yeah, let's go with that. All right, Liam, what's yours?
Jeez, it's really hard to think when you actually...
Haven't won a game?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I'm going to go with our best half of the year, actually, which was the Freo game. Let's just forget the last 2 minutes of the second quarter happened.
Yeah.
I think we were up by like 30 to 40 points, which is insane when you think about
Quite
it.
remarkable, really.
We took that for granted.
We did.
Round 2, 2024, those were the glory days.
Oh, yes.
But yeah, I guess it's just a little insight into the future. So that was, for me, the highlight of the season so far. It's just the excitement of that half. But, geez, it's pretty grim when we're
It
talking
is
about
grim.
just the half
Half
of
of
the game
football.
was good.
Yeah, I would probably go maybe Chom's performance against Brisbane when he debuted. Not
100%.
debuted, but like first for the season. The other one is just like just Wardlaw moments. Like the moment, was it against the Saints, I think, where he just followed up, made a play happen and all that sort of stuff. I think that was really, really good. Am I on the cable here? I am.
You might be.
I also think, just seeing Wardlaw develop and get more consistent. I
Well,
think
just
would
on
be-
George Wardlaw, we have had 2 Rising Star nominees. So George and Colby McKercher have both been nominated
yep.
for the Rising Star. So that's definitely something that you want when you're fielding such a young side for sure.
Yes, but look, let me lock in Wardlaw. I've talked enough about Chom, so I'm going to lock in the Wardlaw, maybe the same, that little patch. I'm talking about a 30-second bit of play here. That's for the whole season, but yeah, he just kept following
Small
up,
wins,
tenacious.
Josh, small
loved
wins.
Loved it. All right, Rashawn.
I would probably say, again, that first half against Fremantle, just in terms of how good it actually was, compared to like even just the average performance of North Melbourne over the last like 4 weeks. Like, we have had some close wins, obviously.
Even
like,
the wins last year, we didn't really look like that, did we?
No.
Maybe the Suns to a degree, but
Yeah, but like that was the first time where I've actually seen like we just were objectively better. It wasn't because another team underperformed.
yeah, we just we bullied them.
Yeah, and from a more fun side, the free kick Carlton chance in Bay
That
29.
was very good. That was very good.
Yeah, like you could hear that on TV. You
Yeah.
actually could hear that on TV, which is good.
Unreal.
And, some of the death threats we got from from very normal Carlton supporters was
They're all normal.
that was a lot of fun.
Yes, no, if we know one thing about the Carlton fans, they're cool, calm and collected at all times.
Almost Blues Brothers. We
I'll
absolutely
give
love
you,
We do.
I'll give you a few more positive Delulu.
This is why you're here, Marnie.
That is why I'm here. Tristan Cherry's performance against Todd Goldstein
Yes,
against Essendon,
yes, good
I think
call.
that was definitely a real highlight. Really seeing the way that he's kind of come on and it really solidified the decision to move Goldstein on at the end of last season. In hindsight, that round 1 performance against the Giants, we
Yeah.
haven't really spoken about that too much, but that was quite
It
a
feels like
well-rounded,
so long ago.
solid performance. So that was quite nice. I did have one more and I've forgotten about it. So yeah, I'm not gonna.
That's fine.
Yeah, that's fine. There's a couple others there though for you.
What can we all expect after the bye then? What are we expecting?
Wins.
Obviously,
Finals.
just fine. Yeah. All right, moving on. What would be? What would you expect? The next question is going to be what would be successful from here. So let's not dive into that. But what do you expect North to do? And the next one will go. What do you want them to do?
I expect us to continue on in an upwards trajectory. I don't think that's unreasonable to ask. I think, as I touched on earlier, we definitely have more continuity now in the side. The side probably looks the most balanced it's really looked now going into the second half of the year. I also think like we've had a week off now, and I think we've spoken about fitness a lot. Throughout the season, Josh, you and I, about how we just look really unfit across the board, unfortunately.
When that was the main emphasis of the preseason as
So
well.
I think now, hopefully, we've had the week off, we're able to recharge, we can kind of just come out fit and firing. We do play a lot of games in Melbourne in the second half of the season. We don't travel, I don't think, as much in the back half of the year.
No.
We do have a patch of, I think, 3 or 4 games in a row. We are in Melbourne following the West Coast game next week. So I definitely expect us to really throw everything we've got, have a few really close contests and hopefully walk away with a few wins in the second half of the season as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think, what I expect definitely is like, again, people often ask me like, are you worried about North? No, genuinely no. I'm not worried
The
at all.
future's there. We know the future's there. The now is bad, but
we're gonna
we've
win
got enough
games.
for the
We'll
future.
be fine. Like just based on the improvement in performance, but also just kind of besides really those and I sort of post on the page like going for North is waiting for the 30 minutes of what the fuck. Not even that, maybe like 10 minutes. Like literally, I ordered a coffee in the time that we played against the Bombers.
And they just kicked 8. Yeah.
Like by the time I actually get my long black, it's like. Bro, I don't even want to drink this anymore, man.
What happened? Yeah, just throw it.
Like it was so short.
Yeah.
And
It's patches. You're right.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
patches.
But
and
then
the first half, I think we've shown that we could be competitive as well.
Yeah,
recently,
and
so.
I do think as well, remember, these are against good sides. Now, what I'd be worried about is if we just fold against teams around us on the ladder.
Like we did against Hawthorn.
Yeah. I mean, even then, the Hawks are starting to put together some good
They
performances.
look pretty good, which makes me feel
Yeah.
awful, but yeah.
Yeah, but...
Sure, I feel gross. I need a cold shower.
Yeah. What I'd like is, look, I think just a couple of wins in games that we have no right to win. Like where I just look at my phone or I'm at the game and I'm like, how do we do
So is that the next question is what is going to be a successful season for you personally from here? Is that sort of what you'd say?
I actually do think it is realistic based on how Richmond, or even, look, West Coast without Harley Reid, or West Coast even on, they've had a couple of good games.
They scored 37 points against the Pies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
brilliant.
Like, as much as they're better than us, and obviously they're better than us, but they're not invincible.
No.
Obviously,
and
you know.
I think this, and as well, even like St Kilda, I do think are genuinely on the way down. I think it's realistic that we don't win the wooden spoon. I do
Wow,
think, I
that's
do
a
think
massive
it's-
call.
I
That's
do
a
think it's
massive
wholly
call.
realistic that we don't.
How many wins then? How many wins do you want to see?
Genuinely, I can see 3 and staying up on percentage against a Richmond.
When's the first win coming?
I can see. I mean, again, Harley's obviously under some suspension speculation based on his performance. Based on his dangerous tackle that he had, and it could be then.
Yep.
I do also think as well. I do think Gold Coast at home.
Yeah, I feel kind of okay
Actually,
about that one.
again, when we play them in Tassie, I think we're all right. When we played them in Marvel, besides obviously the 2022 game way back when, under peak David Noble, but I do think that is realistic to get a couple of wins at home against teams like that.
Okay.
There's got to be a couple of shock factor wins in there as well.
We got the D's on. We got the D's in a couple of weeks.
Just
to
got
G,
spanked.
and,
We haven't even lost by that much before. So.
Yeah, we didn't lose by that much to the D's. Sorry, to Fremantle. So by
That's
that
true. We were
by
actually
that
beating
logic,
Fremantle for half a game, unlike
so
the
what
D's,
we're
so-
saying is we're going to win.
Yeah, we're going to win.
100%.
Exactly.
All right, Liam, give us what do you think we're going to do for the rest of the year and what do you want to see?
What I think we're going to do is absolutely tear the house down. No, I think what
13 straight.
we've seen a steady decline the last 3 to 4 weeks. So I think we will start to show more consistency within games in the next sort of month or so. Fingers are so firmly crossed for that as well, by the way. And yeah, we will, every year there's always talk of a team not winning a game. And then there's always that month or two where that team, whether it's us or whether it's, West Coast or whoever in the last few years, they always win a few. So I think, what I expect to see is us to beat Richmond and maybe another team. And I'm expecting a shock win against someone. And I think it's going to be
Sydney at the SCG?
I'm calling it right now. Sydney at the SCG, we will beat them. Pretty sure Jack Z will kick 5 against them at the SCG last year.
We could
or the
wheel
year
him out.
before. Yeah, please do.
Marnie, you're the delusional one. What do you reckon about Sydney at the SCG?
Why not? We are going to play finals, so it doesn't. We're not losing a game from here.
Let's go on to mine. Sorry to bring the mood down, guys. I think we'll continue to slowly improve. Will it lead to wins? I'm not super convinced. I think we'll win one somewhere, but what I think we can do is keep the solidity in defence, especially with reinforcements with Logue and Dawson coming back. I would like to see us get a little bit more not shit and moving it into our forward line.
Is it Clarko's pre-game speech?
Yeah.
Don't
Sorry
be shit.
if any AFL officials listening to that. I don't want to spend some weeks on the sideline. But, yeah. Oh, God, I'm losing the plot. But, I think as long as we can continue, being more solid in defence, limiting team scoring and can somehow improve going into our forward 50, I'd like to see that. What I think we will do, give me 2 wins. That's me being optimistic. My head says 1 win and maybe against the Tigers. My heart says 2. That's as positive as I can be because we have been goddamn awful. So, look, I'll give us 2 wins for the rest of the year.
Is the other one against Sydney?
Absolutely, 100%. And Carlton as well. They're the 2. So, I don't know. I just want to see us improve as a unit and get better and more cohesive ball movement. Hopefully we get a couple of wins along the way, but I don't know. There's really, honestly, and it's going to be grim, there's really nothing that makes this a good season from here because we're worse than we thought. It makes a lot of sense with the players that we've lost. Me and Marnie have talked about that a lot, but I don't think there's anything that can make this a successful season as a whole, unfortunately, at all. But sorry to end on a positive, guys. Anyway, next question, swiftly moving on. Clarko's been a naughty boy. That's basically it for the mid-season review, by the way. But we're going to touch on a
Thanks,
couple of other
everyone, if
things.
you made it to this far into the podcast.
Yes.
And into the season as well.
And into the season as a whole.
For sticking by us.
Clarko's been a naughty, naughty boy. He's been using some foul language.
Fuck's sake.
Now,
honestly.
and
I can't
Who
believe it.
cares? I think I'm the last one to drop one in this episode, to be fair.
I mean, surely the league should give him a pass because he coaches North Melbourne. I'm not sure if, we need to move the goalposts a bit for a coach who coaches this team.
I think
at the
as well,
moment.
I'm like, at that game, like what North-related person didn't drop an F-bomb?
I want to know
would be
what play
surprised.
it was on because it would have had to be egregious. Like, it would have had to be so bad. Because he obviously wasn't dropping them all game, otherwise.
Yeah.
So there was this one particular moment where they're talking about it. I wonder what play it was in the Port game. But
Let's not go through the highlights and try and pinpoint
oh,
them.
you don't
I
want to
really
run through them all now? Okay. Look, and we'll cover this quickly. This is getting out of hand now. The Clarkson image portrayed by the media, which feeds into the public, because the public are, and this isn't criticising the public, we are all involved in it to a degree, but like a bunch of sheep basically, and we'll follow whatever Fox Footy puts out. They always have. The persona on Alistair Clarkson right now is so crazy.
Yeah.
And it's so unwarranted because, him yelling
It's
at
a
a
witch hunt.
journalist, I can't believe that was even a story. If a journalist comes into your home, as in Arden Street, and starts asking you questions to rile you up and get a headline, you should tell him to piss off. I don't care if it's a guy, a girl, you treat everyone the same, then you can tell a girl, fuck off. I'm over it. Like, the door's there, you know what I mean? So that was completely overblown. The stuff, I guess the Jimmy Webster stuff, borderline, but I understand maybe people thinking it's a type of slur. I don't really personally believe that, but I can understand maybe where a line was probably crossed there. This one, if that didn't happen with Jimmy Webster, wouldn't even be a story. And it's 100% someone who's sitting on that boundary line, who's one of the AFL officials or one of the umpire or whatever, whoever it was, would have gone, I can get him for that.
Damien Barrett, I'm calling it now.
Yes. Well, Damien Barrett was watching a highlight showing a tackle to compare Harley Reid's tackle, and he goes, "Oh, Paul Curtis got tackled." I'm like, "It's so clearly Zach Fisher, mate. Like, what are you talking about? Closet North. He doesn't.
He is not a North fan.
Yeah, he's not a North fan at all."
So we need Nick Larky's impersonation.
Yeah.
Sorry, for those in here, we need a Nick Larky impersonation. Oh, Lord,
Just
what Paul Curtis was doing
it
was really unacceptable by
it's like he's here.
and Alistair Clarkson's swearing is unacceptable
Just
from the North
not
Melbourne
a good
Football
look
Club.
for the club, is it? Yeah.
Super,
Wow,
hope you
eh?
enjoyed that. Chom, if you listen, please show this to
Tag
Steve.
Nick Larky in this episode so he hears that. Marnie, that's the bit you can cut out for the clip. Anyway, look, to end this here, if anyone has anything they want to say about the Clarko thing, but I just think his image is getting dragged through the mud a little bit. It's a game where it's a bunch of angry blokes yelling at a bunch of people who don't know how to play football. So I don't really see a problem with it. Like, so if you use one word, people need to move on a little bit. You're not directly targeting anybody. There's obvious ones you can't say and you'd cross a line, but come on. Like, it's getting a little bit out of hand now, and I think we can all agree.
embarrassing.
I think
It's embarrassing to be so soft. And we say the world's gone soft, and some things yes, some things no. Equality is good, but then also let's not take the piss. But then it's also like, if someone's just swearing at a fumble in a game or something that he's been working on with these young kids all week and they don't do it right, and he's doing it to himself or just throwing it out to the universe, relax. It's getting out of hand.
Yeah, I think the one against Webster, I think was that was really shit of him to say. However, I do think if he's just said a swear word on the ground, like I'm kind of like, brother.
Yeah.
There's two things I quickly want to say about the Clarko thing. The first one is that something that really upsets me is that none of the players have come out to defend him. And I don't know if that's been an instruction from the club or, that sort of thing. But what Clarko said, the whole Jimmy Webster incident, right? That's leadership, standing up for your
I agree.
captain.
Could've-
Very
yeah,
few
yeah.
players did that for Simpkin,
Yeah.
but Clarko's done it and he's backed his captain in. We've had criticism externally all season about how, we don't really look like we're a team. And when Coleman Jones went down injured, no one went to support him. And then the whole Jai Simpkin thing, like no one really rallied around.
There's another one where
that
Zach
much.
Fisher got like hit
Yeah.
sort of behind play a bit.
And there's
no
no
one sort
one
of
there,
rallied.
right? So
Yeah.
the one time we've actually seen some leadership, it's come from Clarko, and he's defended Simpkin, albeit what he said probably wasn't so savoury. I feel like players, maybe Luke McDonald, like should step up and actually defend Clarko, because the treatment of Clarko has been, it's like a witch hunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
He actually can't do anything right, in my opinion. That's the first thing. The second thing is while I think it's absolutely ridiculous and it's just been blown out of proportion, it's headlines for North. I mean, I don't remember the last time North received so many
So many headlines.
and was in
We
the
are massive.
news so much since Clarko really signed on as coach.
It's a person that people can go to now and call out because it's a big name.
We're no longer irrelevant, though. I mean, I personally never felt like we've been irrelevant,
No.
but I'm not biased or anything like
Yeah.
that.
We're not saying Kilda. So,
There's definitely sides in the competition where no one's even batting an eyelid. I mean, does anyone even talk about Richmond? Like, no one cares about Richmond.
no one cares about who's the coach. No one cares.
No one cares. No one cares about the Dogs half the time.
No,
No one
that's
cares
true.
about St Kilda. No disrespect to anyone if this is your
little
side. So it's actually like North are constantly in the headlines. And
Would rather be in the headlines for better reasons, but I get what you're saying.
But you know what I mean? Like people are talking
things
about
like this,
us.
people will also jump on the Clarkson is amazing bandwagon in a few years' time if we improve a lot. Like you just watch it. Everyone who's criticizing him for saying a swear word on the boundary line is going to be the people that go, "Oh my God, this guy's a football genius." If in 3 years' time we're pushing for finals, everyone's going to be saying the opposite thing, aren't they? So. Anyway, you can never trust it, but look, we'll leave it there.
Yep.
But I love it, Clarko. Keep standing up for the players and don't listen to dem haters, as the kids say. Sorry, Marnie, I'm hipping with it. You know me.
Jesus.
Never say that again. Please.
I'm just trying to appeal to a younger audience. YOLO. So anyway, mid-season draft. Lol. Mid-season draft. What do we think of the players we've picked up? I, for one, am very excited for the players we picked up. We picked up 2 players with that will fill gaping holes, and hopefully a player in Bryn Teakle that can come in and actually impact straight away. Geordie Payne, not sure. He might get some games, get the Callan Dawson treatment maybe and get some games late in the year. But, by all reports, he's a tackle machine and likes to, stick it in a little bit and just like bully some people. So I like the look of that. Bryn Teakle is someone I'd like to probably see play against West Coast personally and back up Larky. So, here we go. You got some breaking news.
Yeah, just breaking news. Harley Reid's been suspended for 2 games.
Oh, there's a God.
Fantastic.
So
There
we're
is
winning.
a God.
Fantastic. We got Big Ant coming on the preview podcast as well.
Oh,
so I can
yes.
absolutely rile the man up.
There is a God.
There is a God. You heard it here first on the Further North.
Exactly.
Is this the first time something has actually gone our way this season?
Probably.
I would say yes.
Yeah,
Probably.
because I don't think we've got a 50-metre penalty this year. We've only given them away, so I guess so. Marnie, give me your thoughts on the mid-season draft on the 2 players.
Yeah, look, I think mid-season draft can be. Look, I don't really care about the mid-season draft.
I do. I like the mid-season
Okay,
draft.
that's good. That's why you cover it, not me. No, look, I think the mid-season draft can be.
The attitude I just got, mate, was unbelievable.
You can find some real gems. I mean, obviously, I was about to say David Noble, John
David
Noble.
Noble, yeah.
John
He
Noble,
came in mid-season.
Jai Newcomb, Sam Durham. I mean, these are Cal Dawson. I mean, Jacob Edwards. These are a few players that have gone through
Robert
the
Hansen.
mid-season draft. I think
Lockie Hosey.
you could find a diamond in the rough, but for
Yeah.
the most part, if it doesn't work out, I don't think it's really the
We haven't
biggest
drafted
deal.
a player like a Bryn Teakle who's got experience. I'm not saying he's going to come in and do it, but
this is. Yes, so this is the first year I think we've actually identified a need in the middle of the year, like a desperate need,
Yes.
and we've got something we can trial in the short term. I don't think that at the moment all of the options that we had rotating in that second forward ruck position have not worked for the most part. So I think having an extra player in there that we can try, who is a bit of a bigger body, he's more mature, I think that could really, it could work in our favour. But look, whatever happens, it is what it is.
Marnie's not stoked on it. All right, lads, are you stoked on it? Give us some energy.
I do like it. I think Bryn Teakle is definitely someone we need. We just need some more experience. And
Yeah.
I think having someone like that and also, being a ruck himself. I mean, we've got Jerry at the moment, but I don't think our other backups, which, I mean, for goodness sake.
Yeah, like Hamish Free?
I don't know. Like,
Hamish Free's the next Jacob Edwards, by the way. We're going to be talking about him in 2 years' time still.
Well, that's really
Yeah,
saying something, isn't it?
that
for
is
poor
scary.
Hamish Free.
But yeah, I just think having an experienced ruck there, I think will only do us good.
If Sherry went down, we are looking at a lot of Nick Larkey or Toby Pink in the ruck, and I know that excites you.
Hugh Greenwood.
Yes.
Yeah, or Hugh Greenwood. I mean, the Toby Pink and Hugh Greenwood ruck combination would make half of this panel very excited.
Yeah.
That's what it's all about at this point in the season.
Yeah, God help us all. Geordie Payne, any thoughts on that? Like, apparently unlucky to not get drafted, changed his position and has stepped up to a level where he would have easily been drafted.
Yeah, I don't really have much opinions either way of him just
Okay.
yet. I haven't seen much of what he does, but yeah, really keen to see how he fits in. He'll probably be one of those players that starts in the twos, and see how he goes with regards to game time there. But no, I think we do have two decent players, and one player that seemed to be unlucky to get drafted. And I think this is the first time, like you said, we've gotten a player or two players where we need them and their talents in certain positions, and I think they can be addressed pretty immediately.
All right, Liam, you're the man with the knowledge. Tell us all about Geordie Payne.
Who's that? Nah, look, I'm similar to Rishon. I haven't actually seen a lot of him, but I guess we brought this up before. We don't have that small, buzzy sort of forward that can tackle. So,
Pressure, yeah.
So let's just give him a few games in the twos, and I think we'll quickly see what he's all about. If he outperforms Robert Hansen Jr., then we're on here. And yeah, I think he's like Rashawn also mentioned, it's we've got two positions that we need. Like Coleman Jones going down means we don't have a backup ruck really. So Teakle will. I'm not sure if he'll play straight away. He might. His one goal was against us.
Yeah, that is true. They did sort of hint towards him playing pretty quickly in the interviews.
I think Larkey definitely needs a bit of a chop out with someone else. So even if he just crushes packs in the forward line, pinch hits in the ruck, Jerry could become a bit of a swingman forwards while Teakle's rucking and kick bags.
Well, that's a big second half of the season prediction. Jerry becomes our best forward. Yeah, I mean, I've already sort of said my opinions on it. I think Teakle's a fantastic get, best we could have got from the draft. I think just to plug and play with our biggest hole, which is backing up Nick Larkey. And Geordie Payne, once again, a small, ferocious tackling forward. And if he can tackle and kick goals and do nothing else, I don't care, because none of our other forwards tackle or kick goals. So,
No, well, tackling in our forward 50 has been one of our biggest sort of misses for the season. So if he can
we did have a 0 tackle and a 2 tackle in the forward 50 game. So if that doesn't say it all, I don't know what it is.
Well, it just says that we really need someone like Geordie Payne to come right in. So hopefully both of them get a game before the end of the season. It'd be nice to see what they can offer and, maybe add something.
So lastly, so we can finish up, a little bit of a preview. I'm going to do, like I said, a preview podcast with Big Ant coming up, so you guys better get ready for that. But can we beat the Eagles? We've just heard the breaking news. We've got our very own Damien Barrett sitting here to break the news first. Yeah, actually, that would be great, mate, if you could.
Well, Lordo, I've just had some really big news here, and I've just heard from the AFL Tribunal that Harley Reid's been suspended for 2 weeks. Now, what does that mean for North Melbourne's prospects? I'd really like to hear your thoughts, Lordo.
I was going to try and do a Lordo. He's a bit nasally. Yeah, mate, yeah. Yeah, I think North can. I think North can get the win in this one. I think they're not going to have the midfield tenacity actually, and I think look, back when I was a player, I'm pretty handsome, and back when I was a player, I used to kick a lot of goals. So I think Nick Larkey can play like me as well. So
yeah, I tend to agree with you there.
I think it's time to start.
we need
Take
to
it off
I think
me.
it's so cute.
I'm taking the mic back.
This is the most rogue further north, and if you're listening to the end, if you've listened to the end of this, comment and say I survived the mid-season review, because I want to know who the real fans are, because this is out of control. And also rate Rashawn's Damien Barrett. Who's better at the impersonation, Nick Larkey or Rashawn? I think we need to tee up with the club, Marnie, a battle of a Damien Barrett
I love how this is now
impersonation.
my problem, everyone.
You're the connect. You're the connect.
All right,
I've seen enough Breaking Bad to know the connect is in a group.
We'll see what we can do.
So Can we beat the Eagles, Marnie?
Yes, we
we know you
can.
think
Yes,
that. Okay,
of
let's go
course
to
we
someone
can.
who's a little bit got more insight.
We absolutely can. Not a doubt in my mind.
More insight that you haven't.
Yeah.
We literally can. Like Harley Reid out's massive. Honestly, like that's huge. Because
I worry about all the other experienced players though.
yeah.
Like
So what I worry
Yeah.
about is our entries into our forward line. Like they've got McGovern, Duggan, and
Waterman?
the other bloke's name Barras. I think.
Oh,
his name is.
sorry, we're going to the back line or
Yeah,
the forward line.
backline.
Sorry.
So their backline is like intercept central down there. So if we're bombing it in and Larky, he will get pushed under it. Like
So what you're telling me is bring in Robert Hansen.
no, I wasn't saying that, but you read my mind. Your words, not mine.
Robert Hansen and Geordie Payne to play in this game. So we've got no one. Drop Nick Larkey. We'll just go with all smalls.
You've really gone rogue at the end of this one.
I'm not
Someone
doing well.
send help.
I'm not doing well. Yeah, I think we can beat them, and I think that's the important thing to remember. We can. I wouldn't be tipping us if I was a betting man, just because of the sheer form. But doesn't mean we can't. If this was in Melbourne, I think we definitely could. Obviously, we play them in Tassie later in the year, but we would have to be on our best performance, on our best behaviour, and
That too.
yeah, and that too, Clarkson especially, and the Eagles would have to obviously be impacted by no Harley Reid. So I think the one thing that is an easy headline as well is Harley Reid has changed the Eagles. I don't necessarily think that is true. He's a great player and he's going to be a star, but them getting all their mature players back and all of their actual established talent back has been the real reason, and that is all still there. So, people love a headline and people are going to be like, maybe North could win this week because no Harley Reid. It's one player. There's 21 other blokes running around. Let's not get too far ahead. But I think our back line can hold up against the Eagles' forward line. I mean, Waterman has played very well, but, I think he seems to kick bags and then not, and then kick a bag and then not.
Well, he didn't play against St Kilda. He was a late withdrawal, so if he comes
He should
back
take
in-
another week off, to be honest.
Yeah,
I think
I'd
so.
say
he's
just to
well
make
rested.
sure he's good.
Yeah, but we have Aiden Core, so really, it's fine.
Doesn't really matter, does it? Does anyone not predict a win? Are we all tipping a win against the Eagles?
No, yeah, safest win.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 100% would.
Yep. And we don't have to bother asking Marnie. All right. I'll go win too. Screw it.
If you've made it this far or made it to the end, thank you. Congratulations to you. Hopefully,
Get a hobby as well.
hopefully we'll be able to provide a little bit of comic relief for a
Yes.
season that has been not that funny or fun. For those of you who do want to stay up to date with us, Further North Pod across Facebook, Twitter, Instagram,
Yes.
TikTok and YouTube. Hi YouTube. Also the North Closer to a Flag page. Everyone knows about North Closer to a Flag. If you don't, you can find them across all socials as well. You can also find them in Bay 29.
yes.
Our first home game back after the bye is against Collingwood at Marvel Stadium at, I think it's 1 or 1:10 on Sunday the 16th of June. Make sure you are there. Make sure you come into Bay 29 and say hello and, immerse yourself in the highest of
the culture.
vibes. Yeah,
highest of
absolutely.
vibes.
How'd I do to wrap that up?
That was actually pretty good.
Fantastic.
I'm pretty glad you're here, Marnie, because I trust the listeners too much. And I go, you guys know where it is. You just do it.
No, we need to remind you.
But you can remind the people.
Of course.
Sorry, guys. I'm too trustworthy. I'm the cool parent and Marnie's the bad parent. So
On that note,
on that note, we're probably going to leave. You guys want to say anything else before? Any parting words for the listeners and the fans?
I love Toby Pink.
It's as simple as that.
But yes, please stick around with the club. It is fucking hard.
Yeah.
It is tough to stay optimistic as we try to be. But let's absolutely get behind them, reset, go again for the second half of the season. We've seen some good signs and hopefully they're coming. And see us in Bay 29.
Fantastic.
Go Room.
Go Room. It doesn't get much bigger than that. Yeah, what am I going to leave everybody with? Listen to the Chom song. We called it Charles. And I think it's a fitting. He's a man now, and I think we have to treat him as such. And I think Charles Comben.
Absolutely.
The Charles Comben song should be played thoroughly. We'll probably release it. We should get Spotify and just put it up there for everyone to listen to.
I think
If
so.
not, we'll put it on YouTube with the Charlie Comben highlight compilation, and everyone can jam to that for the rest of their lives.
that sounds good.
Okay,
Thanks, guys.
Marnie, sign it off, please.
For those of you who will be back in your ears later in the week, Josh will be back with Big Ant to preview all the action ahead of our West Coast game, our first game back from the bye, and I will be back after that.
After the win.
Yep. I
Thank
can't
God
even-
footy's back. I missed
Thank-
it so much. I
I
did
know.
not have a relaxing time this weekend at all.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
See ya.
There.